Morning, folks. Welcome to Ash's first bushcraft. A few people have been asking, so I'm going to show you something here. We've come to a different section of wood today. So, see these little things along here? Nearly always found on elderberry. Dead elderberry at that. And it's called Jew's ear. Very jelly. Fungi, obviously. But the thing with this Jew's ear is actually you can wash it if you want, especially these days, the way everybody is with their silliness. But you can. It's really good. There's plenty of proteins and stuff like that. Doesn't taste of anything. It just tastes a bit blah. But it does give you stuff. So yeah, you'll see them. They'll grow quite big, some of them. It's just like eating very bland, hard jelly. Another thing I wanted to show you, okay? Actually, I'll tell you one thing. But don't go doing this. You really need to know what you're doing. But one of the basic ground rules of picking local plants for eating. If you don't know what you're looking at, or you think you have a good idea, one of the basic rules, doesn't always work, but it is a good guideline, is pick a tiny piece of leaf or whatever it is you're thinking about, because you've got to remember with plants, it's not always the leaf you can eat, sometimes it's the roots, sometimes it's the seeds, obviously sometimes it's the berries. But all you do is you place a little tiny piece in your mouth, and you chew on it, but you don't swallow it. You just chew it in the mouth, and then you spit it out. And then you don't do anything at all with that plant. You don't harvest it, even consider eating it, until you've been a good hour, 2 hours. It should, anyway, in the first 10 minutes, if it's going to be naughty, it's going to give you a tingling sensation. There's just going to be something in the mouth that's just not going to feel right. It is a very basic ground rule. Doesn't work for everything, like I said, but it works for most things. So yeah, be careful. Fungi, really careful. You have to. I do not suggest anybody goes out and picks mushrooms and fungi, because you're really pushing your luck. Because some that are edible look very, very, very close to some that are pretty poisonous. Anyway, one of the other things for me, you see, is the beauty for me when I go out in the woodlands, or anywhere, I can look around and I can pretty much know what I'm going to use, what I can use, and all the rest of it. So take, for instance, you've got all the ground ivy. Ground ivy is great for making rope, string, cord, whatever you want, and any thickness, to be honest. But the secret with it is obviously when you pull it up, which I've already pulled some strands up, I'll show you. Strip it of its leaves, but before you start going to trying to tie knots in it, you'll find that because of the body of the plant itself, you're not using the fibres, you're actually trying to tie with the body of the ivy. So what you need to do is get rid of that bulk of it. So what you do is very, very gently, I normally use the half to me blade or whatever, but you can use stone, you can use a piece of wood, but you bash it, but very, very gently. You bruise it basically, all the way down its length. And what that does is it takes the body out of the ivy. Honeysuckle's the same, honeysuckle's great. But honeysuckle quite often will break if you get certain diameters of it. So you just bruise it and it makes it more pliable. So I pulled out 3 pieces here and I stripped them and I went on to find a couple of stones. And all I've done is very, very, very gently bruise them. And that takes you back to the fibres, the stuff that you really want. And ivy's great. Now I made a dream catcher out of ivy and honeysuckle when I first met Bex. So you're going on 3 years near enough now. And that is still hanging in the top of an old beech tree at Travailer Wood, still intact and still strong. So what you do is, if you're going to use this, you're basically doing a plait. So all you do is you cross them over independently. And like I say, this one's been bruised. You go delicate. I don't know whether you can see because of my dirty great juggernaut hands. But you basically cross that one over the middle, cross the right over the middle, cross the left into the middle, and the right, and you can go all the way down like that. Wish you could see better, really. So you're basically just drawing them in from the outsides over the middle one. Now, what that will do is give you a really good, nice cord. Tie it off once you get to the bottom. And once you've got that nice little cord, okay, you don't think that's much. But with that, I can go and make fishing rafts, which one day I'll do a film footage of fishing raft. You can use anything that floats with a fishing raft, but you can make it just out of the old timber lying here, this kind of stuff. And you just use cordage, it doesn't have to be this thick. And you make a little sailboat, just a basic frame, 4 pieces. Make your square, put like a little mast in the middle. That just gives it a little bit of stability. Find your little pond or pool in the stream. I've rigged them in fast flowing before. Anyway, and then what you do is you put hooks along the base of it. So I've done it in the past where I've put 4 hooks dangling, or safety pins, that kind of thing, dangling beneath it, bait them up with worms, and just leave it. You tie it off to the bank, leave it, walk away. And I know down Penrose I used to pull out rudd like there was no tomorrow. It was just like every hour I'd go down there and all 4 hooks would be loaded. But basically there you go, and it's quite pretty as well. That gives you a really good cord. Then what you want to do is, if you want a thicker rope, if you need something heavier, you can make more lengths of this. And obviously with ivy, if you've ever pulled ivy up, it can go on for quite a distance. You don't want it too thick because you won't be able to break it down into the strands. So not too thin because it'll snap. So you just want it just between the two. So let me have a look a minute. See what I can show you here. But yeah, that's basically what you're looking at. So you're looking at that kind of diameter. You'd crush that down, strip it of its leaves, bruise it down, and that'll give you a really nice fibre. Then what you do, you can put 3, you can put 4 together in one go, you can put more than that. You just plait them in, tie them off, and what happens is, with age, that knot becomes quite tight and quite permanent. And then what you can do is, once, say, if I knocked up maybe another 4 lengths of this, you can then plait them exactly the same way. So you build up your rope. So, there you go. Quick lesson on Jew's ear, not very tasty, bland, just like eating, bland jelly really. But it does give you some proteins, and it is something you can eat. Elderwood, brilliant burning wood, lovely, lovely stuff. So there you go, first bushcraft lesson. Ciao for now.